Yes, you read it correctly. I have Vasyl Lomachenko number 5 on my pound for pound list. That is not a typo. I have Vasyl Lomachenko number 5 on my pound for pound list. G5JEFFTV, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Please share this video. Support your boy. Support good content at all times. Now, ESPN just came out with their pound for pound top 10 list, and they have Vasyl Lomachenko ranked number 1. Now, the one thing I don't do is criticize another person's pound for pound list. As long as you have a criteria and you have a logical explanation on why you have a fighter in a certain spot, then ultimately I don't have a problem with your pound for pound list. Now, let me give you guys my criteria for my pound for pound list. It consists of 4 things: record, resume, longevity, and eye test. Okay? So that's the criteria that I use to come up with my top 5 pound for pound list. And with that being said, starting at number 5, I have Vasyl Lomachenko. And I'm going to tell you why I have him number 5. Now, eye test, he's the hottest fighter in the game. Now, he's the hottest fighter in the game right now. He can do it all. He has some of the best movement I've ever seen out of a fighter. On offense, the punch variation is extremely good. Defensively, he's extremely good. And he can fight on the outside. He can fight on the inside. He can box. He can brawl. Arguably the greatest boxing amateur of all time. He only had 1 loss in 398 fights as an amateur. And the push that ESPN is giving him and the compliments that Bob Arum is giving him is basically top-notch. It's top-notch. It really doesn't get any better than the push that he's getting right now. Now, resume. He has a very good resume for 11 fights. His resume at 11 fights is better than a lot of guys that have 30, 35, 40 fights, and I'll definitely give him credit for that. He's beaten Guillermo Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux was on a lot of the hardcore fans' top 5 pound for pound list. He beat Gary Russell Jr. He beat Jason Sosa. He embarrassed Nicholas Walters. He beat Mariaga. The one loss that he has is against Orlando Salido. Rough, rugged fight. Orlando Salido was pulling out every dirty trick in the book. He came in heavy. He pulled out all the stops. Now, as far as Lomachenko having Orlando Salido in his second fight, I give him no leeway, no breaks, because we're having a pound for pound discussion. And on top of that, he negotiated in his contract he wanted a title fight as soon as possible. So he gets no breaks from me because that was his second fight. And his record is 10-1. I just have a hard time giving a guy that's 10-1 pound for pound number 1. He just hasn't been doing it long enough. But he has the potential to be number 1 pound for pound. But right now, he's number 5 on my list. Number 4, Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia, eye test. He's like a B+ or A- in absolutely everything. He can box. He can fight. He can fight on the outside. He can fight on the inside. He's sound defensively. He's had a flash knockdown or 2, but it seems like he has a solid chin. And he's just a great all-around fighter. Record, 37-0, 30 knockouts. 3-division world champion. Resume, Mikey Garcia has beaten the one guy that Vasyl Lomachenko couldn't beat, and that was Orlando Salido. He knocked Orlando Salido down. He knocked him down 4 times, and Mikey Garcia beat him in impressive fashion. If it wasn't for the nose injury, he might have stopped Orlando Salido. And Orlando Salido was a better version of himself in the Mikey Garcia fight than he was in the Vasyl Lomachenko fight. which says a lot about Mikey Garcia. And he's been doing it for a long time with the 37 wins, with the 30 knockouts. And Mikey Garcia would be higher on my list if it wasn't for the 2-year layoff dealing with Bob Arum and that whole Top Rank situation. Now, number 3, I have Keith one-time Thurman. Eye test, has great power. He can fight on the outside. He can box. He can brawl. He can hold his own inside. Very good all-around fighter. Record, he's undefeated. Resume, he's beaten 2 of the top 5 welterweights in the world back-to-back, in Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. He's also beaten Diego Chavez. He beat Robert the Ghost Guerrero. He beat Luis Collazo. He beat Leonard Bundu. He beat Soto Carraz. He's beaten a lot of good guys at 147. And he may possibly have the best resume of any welterweight in the world. Keith Thurman has 2 of the 4 championship belts. And the one thing about Keith Thurman, people are down on him because of this whole Earl Spence situation and him not doing what everybody wants for him to do. And I'm not going to lie. With Keith Thurman, this is just from me to him as a fan. I enjoyed him the most when he was just talking shit. When he was just talking shit and calling everybody out, like, I enjoyed him the most when he was doing that. But now he talks like Floyd Mayweather now. He's very strategic, and he's marketing himself to be the person that everybody wants to see lose, which is classic Mayweather one-on-one. Now, outside of that, Keith Thurman is one of the young stars in the game right now and will be one of the stars going forward. Number 2, I have Gennady Triple G Golovkin. Triple G, record undefeated. Resume, draw against Canelo Alvarez, but I think about 80% of the people out there had Triple G winning that fight. Danny Jacobs, he got that victory. About 60 to 65 people believe that he won that fight. And outside of those 2 fights, he had a rough time against Kell Brook, but he beat Kell Brook. Smaller man, but he beat Kell Brook, broke his eye socket. And outside of that, Triple G has a lot of B- and C guys on his resume. And people criticize Triple G the last couple of fights because he hasn't been dominating. Well, that's what happens when you step up in competition. And I don't care what sport it is. It could be football, basketball, baseball. When 2 great teams or 2 great people go against each other, more than likely it's going to be a competitive match. So that's all that's been going on. It's not the fact that Triple G's been losing anything. It's just the fact that he stepped up in competition. And Triple G has 3 of the 4 belts. He has 3 of the 4 belts. And he's been dominating middleweight for a very, very long time. And for that, I have Triple G number 2 on my list. And number 1, I have Terrence Bud Crawford. Terrence Bud Crawford is the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter on my list. Eye test, he can do it all. He can fight orthodox. He can fight southpaw. Got a solid defense. He can move. He can stay in the pocket. He can fight on the outside. He can fight on the inside. He can go 12 rounds and beat you by decision, or he can knock you out in the first 4 rounds. Great all-around fighter. Great all-around fighter. Record, undefeated. Resume is the only thing people can mention about Terrence Bud Crawford. And his resume is similar to Triple G's in terms of it being a lot of B- guys and C guys. But he has solid guys on his resume. He's beating Julius Ndongo. He's beating Ricky Burns. He beat Diaz. He beat Yuriorkis Gamboa. He's beaten a lot of solid guys. He's beaten Hank Lundy. Terrence Crawford has also beaten Tomas Delorme, who was a pretty good fighter during that time. Terrence Crawford is mentioned as the top pound-for-pound fighter in the world by a lot of people. Floyd Mayweather, even Vasily Lomachenko himself said Terrence Crawford is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. And Terrence Crawford's done the one thing that is historical in boxing, and that's going undisputed, which means you have all 4 of the major belts. There's really no debate in terms of who's the best in that division because you have all of the belts. And Terrence Crawford just accomplished that at 140 pounds. Now, he was only undisputed for a couple days, but, you know, fuck all that. Fuck all that. He went undisputed. Undisputed. And you can't take that away from Terrence Crawford. I don't care what you think about his competition. I don't care what you think about his competition. He went undisputed. It hasn't been done since Jermaine Taylor and Bernard Hopkins, 2006, 2007. Okay? Now, that's my top 5 pound-for-pound list. Again, I have Vasily Lomachenko, number 5. I have Mikey Garcia, number 4. I have Keith One-Time Thurman, number 3. I have Triple G, Gennady Golovkin at number 2. And number 1, I have Terrence Bud Crawford. And again, criteria, record, resume, longevity, eye test. I want to thank you guys for listening to my top 5 pound-for-pound list. I want you guys to give me your top 5 pound-for-pound list and give me a description on what your criteria is for your pound-for-pound. Let me know what you think of my pound-for-pound and my criteria, and let's have a discussion. I think pound-for-pound lists are great to discuss because it gives an insight on a boxing fan's thought process when it comes down to the sweet science. And that's why we're all here. Okay? And for anybody that wants to get in contact with me, you can definitely go to G5JEFFTV at gmail.com. I'm definitely going to be dropping more videos. I'm going to be dropping more heat. And I'm just a regular guy that loves to talk about his favorite sport, which is boxing. So I want for you guys to continue to tune in, support your boy, and let's all talk about the great sport that we all love, which is boxing. It's G5JEFFTV. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Please share this video. Support your boy. Support good content at all times. G5JEFFTV. I appreciate y'all. Peace.